Welcome to the Wedding Business Growth Coach podcast, a podcast dedicated to sharing everything you need in bite-sized episodes to set up your wedding business for success and get your diary fully booked, full of those dream wedding clients. You're here with me, Jen Maynard, Wedding Business Growth Coach and founder of the Boho Bride Guide wedding blog and supplier directory. Each episode is full of value and structured around my wedding business anchor fundamentals framework to give you straightforward, step-by-step activities to put in place into your business that will position yourself as the go-to wedding supplier within your specialism. Let's go! Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Wedding Business Growth Coach podcast. It is fabulous to have you here with me today, and I've got a little apology. This episode is slightly late. I have been juggling just a really nasty lurgy and now poorly children. So we have finally got back half human, and I'm bringing this episode to you today. So yes, thank you for your patience if you've been waiting for this episode to go live. So this is part 3 of the series that I've been talking about over the last few episodes. So in part 1, I introduced the idea to you of a content creation system, what it is, and the massive benefits that it will bring your wedding business from an online presence point of view. In the part 2, we talked about how you are able to create an annual blog schedule that basically gets your website ranked well under those all-important keyword phrases that your target wedding audience will be tapping into Google. Today, I'm following on from that, still on the blog theme, and I'm going to be talking about 9 ways to get you started on writing attention-grabbing blog titles. Okay, because there's a little fact for you. Businesses that blog regularly for their own website experience twice as much email traffic than those businesses that don't. So it's a game changer, and in the current climate that we're going into, so basically maximising every ounce of visibility opportunity to get in front of your ideal wedding client, that those couples that you can't wait to work with, then now is the time to put into your strategy how you are going to do that from an online presence point of view. So today is part 3, and we're going to be looking into more detail about how impactful blog titles can really be that game changer when it comes to, number 1, getting in front of your target wedding audience. So, as they're putting in to Google, they're in that early doors process of planning their wedding and finding their wedding supplier team. Your content needs to be popping up with those keyword phrases that they're tapping into. And the blog title is a really intrinsic piece of that puzzle to get right, to get that first opportunity for them to visibly see your website pop up and the blog title that you have written. A little fact for you again. So, out of every 10 blog visitors, 8 will only ever read the headline, and only 2 will go on to actually reading your content. Only 20%. So the power of the blog title is imperative, and actually we can increase our blog traffic and actually audience reading our copy. We can increase that by up to 500% through an effective blog. Now, we need to make sure that our blog titles do one of 3 things, or 3 of 3 things. Number 1, it must appeal to your target wedding audience. And this is where first and foremost, yet again, we need to be super clear about who we are talking to, because a generic blog title is not going to appeal to a specific niche of wedding couples on their planning journey. So number one, we need to know who we are writing this blog title for, and we need it to be specialised into exactly what they're looking for. Number two, it must promise to provide value to the reader within that headline. So not only within the headline, you need to be really clear about what they're going to get out of it, but also you need to address that within the copy. It is super important, those two things. And number three, it also must align with your search engine optimization and what keyword phrases you want your blog to be ranking for in Google and Pinterest. Okay, so when we're writing the blog title, but also writing the blog, those three things need to be prominent in our minds. Who we're writing it for, what value you are giving, and making sure that you've got all of those keyword phrases so it is visible to those people that are looking for it. Okay, so you're in for a little treat, because I have characterized and broken down into 9 types of blog titles that you could try for yourself. There's lots of ways of writing blog titles, but I find it really useful just to have in my back pocket, these 9 to start from, basically. So the first method I want to share with you of how to write a blog title is the how-to blog. Says what it is on the tin, if that's the saying. So your reader, they're going to be looking online, and they may well use the Google search engine literally to write in their pain point. So, and what we want is for your blog title to be popping up in front of it when someone writes it in. So they might not be necessarily looking to solve this exact problem, but what they will be looking for is informative, easy to read content that they can absorb that will educate them on their wedding planning journey. Inadvertently, writing this blog will also have masses of benefits subliminally as well. You will be positioning yourself as that expert within your wedding field by writing this content. They will see you as that expert, because you're ultimately writing the answers that they're looking for. You'll be addressing pain points for them. That they might be looking for wedding suppliers within your specialism. And actually, by writing this blog content, you are subliminally also overcoming those objections for them to be working with you too. So, lots of benefits, but coming back to a how-to blog, which is my number one. And actually, by writing a blog, so how to X, Y, and Z, it actually will make it easy for the consumer and the reader to pick up this concise information. So I've got an example for you. How to prepare your anxious dog for your wedding day. Or maybe how to keep communication channels open with your partner in the week running up to your big day. Or maybe how to create a foliage table runner for your just married top table. It is clear what value the reader is going to be getting. It includes your keyword phrases, and it is targeted to your wedding audience. So with how-to blog titles, always start with how to at the front of your blog title, and it'll pick up nicely from a Google search point of view. Clarify the end goal within the title. Define the process in the title if possible. So, describe how you're going to help them. And potentially add a bonus title section if possible. So, for example, how to write your wedding vows and incorporate your children into the ceremony. or another one, how to prepare your anxious dog for your wedding day and get your fur baby photos you dreamed of. So, you're adding value, plus you're adding value, and also you're getting those SEO keywords in there. Number 2, a list blog or listicle, you might hear it called. And actually, list blogs are working really well at present on the Boho Bride Guide blog. This is simply where we use a number at the start of the blog title. So 10 top tips on X, Y, and Z, or 3 ways to X, Y, and Z. Like the same as this podcast title, in fact. 15 steps to X, Y, Z. It gives a good indication of the amount of value that you're sharing in the number. So, the higher number shows the more what you're giving. But also, it makes it super streamlined for the person that's reading, because actually each number is almost like bullet pointed down, so they can quickly skim. And it's really beneficial for those skim readers that are actually looking for something really specific, so they can skim down your blog and actually just find the bits that they're really interested in, rather than block text that they have to go searching through. Some top tips from myself. So use the number, literally the number of the list at the front of the blog title, and in number format, rather than 5 as in FIVE. Actually, no, the number 5 right at the start of the title. Don't make the number of the list blog too long, and also this may seem odd, but you use an odd number of items within your list. It psychologically, for some reason, odd numbers seem to work better in blog titles. So just keep that in mind. So, if you're looking to start off, so the 3, the 5, the 7, the 9, for some reason, 9 sounds more valuable and more intentional than going to 10, because I don't know why, but if you see like 10 top tips, people might feel like, oh, they've just made it to 10, so actually it might not be as valuable. But if it's odd, it's like, oh, they're more intrigued. Don't understand the psychology exactly, but it works. So just take that one as a top tip. And actually, 30% of blog readers prefer a title with a number in it, so keep that in mind as well. Number 3, a question blog title. So we are naturally inquisitive as human beings. If someone poses a question, we want to know the answer, and this works really well within blog titles. So, for example, how do I find a re-loved wedding dress of my dreams? Explore our 5 top tips today. Or how do I plan for an outdoor wedding ceremony without the weather ruining my plans? ? I've got another one. Planning for a packed out wedding dance floor, but worried guests won't take part. I have the solution. So you are posing an inquisitive question, and people are intrigued to find out that answer. Make sure that you answer the question within your blog as well, making sure that you're adding that value and it's worth their time to read. But yeah, you're just taking, you're having that conversation really, I suppose. In this one, it's really, they're posing, you're sort of guessing what question they're going to ask, and you're going to pose it and then answer it in a really sort of conversational, straightforward way. And this one actually brings me on to my number 4, and they're really intrinsically linked. So my number 4 is all around a Google search phrase blog title. This is where you harness the power of Google and Pinterest. It would work exactly the same. And you do a little bit of research on your topic of expertise and find out what your ideal wedding clients are Googling in that search bar. Look at the what, the where, and the why. Starting your blog titles with those 3 phrases. And yeah, again, align that with your keyword phrases. So, for example, if I am a wedding florist and I'm based in Somerset, and I may well think of, what's coming up a lot in Google is where can I find a Somerset-based florist that uses locally sourced florals, for example. I've got lots of keyword phrases in there, geographically as well, that will work really well. I want my website to be popping up under Somerset, locally sourced wedding florist, for example. It doesn't necessarily have to be a question also, so those were question based, but actually it could just be a phrase that they pose and they write in Google that comes up. Just get me notes. So for a phrase, it could be the use of, they might be Googling best outdoor wedding venues in Stockport, that kind of thing. So really tap into what your target wedding audience is going to be searching for on Google, and literally answer the question that they write in Google as your blog title. Because that has the most power and likelihood for your blog post to be ranked well for that particular question. Top tips in reference to Google search phrase blog titles. So I've already mentioned it doesn't have to be a question. It could be just a phrase that people are searching for. Avoid the questions that are quite closed, that will just have the response of yes or no. You want it quite open, so you've got opportunity to talk openly within that blog post. Number 5, a versus blog title. Now this works really well when you are comparing 2 specific elements from within your niche or your marketplace, and it helps massively for you to write about your expertise in this arena, and at the very same time you will be overcoming potential objections to working with you. These blog posts should be full of facts and useful information for the reader to make an informed decision about whether they choose this or versus this. Okay, so a really good one from my world would be fresh seasonal wedding florals versus dried florals. And then I would put out my opinion on, the benefits and drawbacks of each one, and then the reader can make that informed decision. My 6th type of blog title to try would be the ultimate blog title. Now, if you are planning on writing a comprehensive long form blog title between 1,000 and say 2,000 words, I would really recommend you considering a really powerful adjective word to start your blog title off. It gives an air of sort of importance and sustenance to the blog title that you have written. So I'll give you an example. Consider the strong adjectives like my best roundup of X, Y, and Z, or the ultimate guide to X, Y, and Z, the greatest list of blah, 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 wedding venues within the Southeast. My top tips when it comes to blah, blah, blah. What else? The finest wedding venues within the outdoor weddings arena in the UK. Sorry, I'm doing this off the top of my head. Or it could be also people are looking for, say, the best, but also they're looking for, again, streamlining their wedding planning experience. So, or other really powerful adjectives could be the easiest way to X, Y, and Z, or my simple ways to overcome X, Y, and Z planning your wedding. So again, consider those really powerful words. Again, within the rest of the blog title, make sure that you've got your SEO phrases within there. But again, this will entice people to want to read your content.
Number 7, if I were you blog title. Now this one is super cool. So when you think about it, why do people search online to research things about weddings? They ultimately want to save themselves pain, time and effort by learning from other people, whether that's experts, whether that's other couples that have been through their wedding planning journey. They basically want to save themselves the heartache of making those mistakes. So this type of blog title works really, really well. So if I were you blog titles, this is basically you sharing your expertise and giving them some advice, but the blog title being quite like catchy and intriguing and almost controversial, if you like. So an example, why you should stop placating Auntie Sue. So you're tapping into that emotion, you're tapping into that family politics, and actually you are giving them some advice and some help and showing that you understand the heartache of family politics and things around that. Another one, why you should forget the bride-to-be dressing gown. Now, this one actually sits quite close to my heart, and you know you are what's the word? Being slightly controversial with the done thing. You know, the done thing, having bride-to-be dressing gowns and hen do party bags that they use for the day and that sort of thing. But actually, this one sets a bit of intrigue. It's like, oh, well, why is she telling me not to buy a bride-to-be dressing gown? I want a bride-to-be dressing gown. So then within the content, I would set out my ethos, my more sustainably minded ethos around why we don't want single-use clothing within the wedding industry. So get a bit controversial with your titles, but it takes practice and a bit of thought.
Number 8 type of blog title is the transparency headline. Okay, so within the wedding world, within the online world in general, I would suggest sort of transparency, honesty and integrity is everything when it comes to setting out our virtual stall as a small business within the wedding industry. And a transparency blog is brilliant at, again, sharing more of your ethos, sharing more about what you stand for as a business, and we're basically wearing our heart on our sleeve. We are being completely honest, and a great way of doing this is to talk about something that we did do and now we no longer do it due to X, Y, and Z. And this shows the reader that we are continuously learning. We are developing as a wedding business, and people really connect with honesty and transparency. So an example: why we no longer serve avocados in our grazing platters. Now, if I was a grazing platter company and this was important to me, I could really set out why you only source certain food and use it within your business. You could go into depth around the avocado industry and the impact that has on the countries that they're grown and X, Y, and Z. And it really sort of, inform your audience, and you will find people who that is also important to. They are your ideal wedding client. And last but not least, my number 9 way of writing a blog title is the what not to do blog title. Now, again, this follows on from that whole transparency piece, and this enables us as business owners to really sort of get vulnerable and share what we have learned over the time that we have been in business that will be valuable to our ideal wedding clients. So you're not only giving them advice and your top tips, but inadvertently you are sharing your expertise, your experience within that niche that you want to carve out yourself a little slice of. So something like 13 mistakes I have made as a boho inspired wedding planner. So within that title, you've got a number. You've got that vulnerability piece where you're sharing the mistakes that you have made and you don't want your ideal wedding client to make. You are sharing those keyword phrases, so boho inspired and wedding planner you want to be coming up under. And then within the content, you have then got 13 opportunities to share your expertise, position yourself as that expert. It's a goodie. It's a goodie. So make sure that that is on your list. And that brings us to the end. I hope that was really useful for you. I've had fun refreshing my mind, and actually from the Boho Bride Guide blog, I've been working with Jess this week to put our schedule together, and this has sparked my inspiration again as this reminder to myself. So I'm going to be writing some new exciting blog titles over the next coming weeks for our 2023 blog. So, but yeah, have an amazing week. Thank you for sharing and being with me for the last half an hour or so. And I'll see you next time on the, where am I? The Wedding Business Growth Coach. Take it steady. Download your free Who Do You Serve activity pack that takes you through the step-by-step activities to focus in on your niche and position yourself as the go-to wedding supplier within your specialism. Download it today following the link in the podcast show notes, or visit my website weddingbusinessgrowthcoach.com/biz-resources. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Wedding Business Growth Coach podcast. I would love to hear what you took away today and how you have implemented it into your business over on Instagram @Wedding Business Growth Coach. Please do DM me direct and I'll give you a shout out on my stories. See you next time.